Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Pro-Life Steve, Joe, and Dan. We're going to get to you in 2 seconds. First, a quick hit with our friend Michael Doherty, the devil inside the Beltway. Michael, good to have you with us.
Good morning from crazy loud Manhattan. I hope everything's all right over there.
Still here, still employed, so things can't be too difficult. Let's get right to it. Your thoughts on what the president is dealing with Little Rocket Man getting cold feet all of a sudden?
Well, maybe we popped the champagne corks too early. You got two narcissists that are wrestling like alligators, so you gotta take. You can't talk Nobel Peace Prize and actually still playing war games with South Korea this early. But come on, it's all going to be a battle for the spotlight anyway. It's a chess match, and talk. I'd ignore talk. I only care about walk. So we'll see what really happens. It just gives a red herring for the press to chew on while they try to ignore what we're finding out about moles being in the presidential campaign from the FBI and the Obama administration.
Well, let's get to that here at KIDO Talk Radio. What do you know about a sting operation to ensnare then-candidate Trump?
Well, this is not a surprise at all. I mean, we know that nothing's worse than being exposed when you're doing corruption. So, all this cover-up and slow walking, all this is acting exactly like someone's got a lot to hide. It's really severe. I mean, the duck is quacking, and it's quacking loudly. We haven't seen the duck yet, but we know what ducks sound like. And one of the things I think the American people doesn't understand is it pays to slow walk in Washington because past Congresses have built all these rules where when you have these investigations going on, if the Congress ends before the investigations are completed, the investigations can be ended. So the left is hoping, and so is the establishment, that the House goes blue. So Nunes and all these people that are going after this, Goodlatte, who'll be retiring, they'll stop. And so they're just trying to delay to keep the covers over in any which way they can, because this is severe stuff. This will be the biggest controversy we've ever had if the FBI and the DOJ at the top are in a prior administration is trying to mess with our freedoms to elect.
Well, we see that the media covering these guys, giving them cover.
Oh, absolutely, because ignore. I mean, that's all they do. And so, it's pretty incredible how tough this all is to get out. But, the public is getting a 50-yard line seat to what goes on, and it's sort of my duty and other people's to explain what's happening, because it's so confusing. If you believe what we're taught in a civics class, you're not going to, this doesn't make sense. But what we don't understand is that the government hasn't been operating like we're taught in a civics book since 1915.
Indeed. Michael Doherty, an abbreviated shot with you today. If people want to get a hold of you or just hang out with you, what can they do, sir?
Well, you can chase me as I hop around the globe at the devil inside the beltway.com, and Twitter and Facebook will be there. And the book is an audiobook, ebook, hardcover, and softcover at Amazon.
Stay out of trouble, brother.
Man, that's no fun, but I'll try.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, let's get back to your phone calls here. We go to Joe in Meridian concerning the big primary on KIDO Talk Radio. Joe, good morning.
How are you, Kevin? How's God blessing you today?
If I can make it through without hacking, it'll be a great show today.
Hey, it was a pretty interesting primary. I was impressed. We had some great candidates, and I think it's going to bode well for Idaho. It gets a little more support out there. The comments about the millennials going a little left, I think, are interesting, and I think there is a trend there, but I think you can reverse that trend pretty easily. I think people just have to decide that they're going to train their kids as to what matters and what's important and what right and wrong is and those type of things versus let the TV and video games and the media do that. And, I think that's the simple part of it. You watch a lot of these shows and they just push morals that aren't core to Idaho and aren't found in the Bible and in typical societies that succeed. And so I think that's the answer. I don't think you can let colleges and schools and the media train your kids up. You got to do it yourself.
Well, that's easier said than done when I think a lot of people just want to escape when they get off work. When they get off of working for the man, they just want to go enjoy themselves. But I guess with anything, you've got to work harder.
Yep, I think we do, and I'm talking to myself too. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I just really feel like that's the key is you got to engage and you got to stay committed to not letting others, influence as much. And it's interesting with the schools. I wish there was a little more control of that, but that's been taken over in large part by the liberal crew, and so just have to battle it. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good race coming up, and I think Idaho's got a great future. So,
well, did you vote for Brad Little?
I did vote for Brad Little. I voted for Brad Little and Russ Fulcher, so interesting combination. But I think Little will do a good job. I've worked with him on a few things, and I'm excited.
And what would you say to people that are upset because their person lost and vow they're done?
Oh, I just think that's a little bit silly. I mean, people, if your person won, you'd want everyone else to come behind you. So I think you have to look at what the honorable thing is, and the honorable thing is to, try to help promote the right values and the conservative nature of the state. So, it's these folks that say they would never vote again and all this other stuff is just goofy. I mean, you don't realize, and you talk to people that come over here from Vietnam or Cambodia or some of these, countries where there's no freedom, and you don't hear that in these people's voices when they say they'd never vote because they didn't get their way. And I just think, unfortunately, they don't have the context to appreciate the greatness that we have and being able to vote and being able to put candidates out. I mean, that's a huge testament to our society and our country. So,
very good points, Joe. Thank you for the call. Let's continue on. 580-5436, 580-K. I really appreciate your patience. Steve in Meridian, you're on with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Steve, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. As we experience the aftermath of the election, congrats to Russ and Janice. I'm bummed for Raul, but we must go forward. I just think within a 24-hour span of time, we already need to be very concerned about the big election in November. Can Brad Little beat a younger, more energetic, gaining momentum person? And I think that question needs to be answered. But the real reason I called in is a gentleman, Too Much Truth, spoke about his vantage point of not voting, and I think that is a terrible belief. I know that apathy is really one of the big problems in our country, and when people think the alternative is just to bow out and let things happen without their say, that's a terrible thing. There's a really famous guy who said, if you're not with me, you're against me. Do you know who that guy was, Kevin?
Trying to figure that out. That quote is so famous.
It's Jesus Christ. And so it's a pretty cool scripture. Look it up. But the point is that, when people don't engage themselves in their world and recognize they're always the better of two alternatives, we unfortunately receive the results of our apathy. And it's a sad day. But I can say the future can still be bright if people make personal decisions to get involved. You may not think that a $25 donation helps. You may not think that one vote helps. You may not think that your prayer helps or giving one person help in a day, but everything matters. And it's really about a wave of believing. One inspires another. And for anybody who dares think that voting isn't important, or anybody who dares think that your life doesn't matter, think again. And I just say, well, Brad Little, you won, so you better win the election, buddy, or we're going to have to blame Tommy Alquist for his entry in the race and causing Raul his votes. So there you go.
Are you going to vote for Brad Little?
Absolutely. I've my kids. I remember we were in a picture thing at a National Day of Prayer. We met Governor Otter. I loved what he said on that day, so I like some things about Governor Otter, and I like some things about Brad Little. And he's the far superior choice to the Democratic person who won, Paulette Jordan. And I'm really, the woman who called in from California, I'm so glad she's here, but there are two facts people need to realize. Number one, the biggest migration of people into Idaho is from Oregon, Washington, and California. And the second fact is we are becoming more liberal. So by sheer analysis of those two things, despite her circle of people that are conservative coming from those places, I'm grateful for them. But it's sadly true that over 50%, whatever that majority is, 55%, 70%, are liberals. And we need to make a stand. Idaho is one of the very last few states where the President of the United States looks across the map of the U.S. and says, hey, I got Idaho. Don't even need to worry about it. There are very, very few places like that in this country, and we need to stand strong on principles, and I hope we can make an impact to the next generation so this state doesn't become the next mini Oregon. You know, that would be a tragedy.
Steve, thank you. God bless.
Thank you. God bless.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Dan in Middleton. Thanks for your patience. You're on with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Kevin, and thanks for taking my call. Like I think the last couple of callers have said, the best thing we can do, the most responsible thing we can do every time there's an election is vote. It's really common for the politicians to try to get people apathetic. And as long as we keep informed, and thankfully we have a station in this valley that is helping us stay informed by getting all the candidates that are willing to talk out on the radio, we can be better informed about those candidates. Yeah, my guy didn't win. Oh well. We move on from here. I'll vote for Brad. I don't like him, but I'll vote for him. I didn't like Trump in the primary, but I voted for him in the general. And anything I can do to push the conservative agenda forward, I'm willing to do.
Well, Dan, thank you, and thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio, and thank you for the kind comments.
You bet. Ask Ray how long I've been listening to this station. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, Dan. I was going to say, how long have you been listening, but we'll continue on. Let's go to Pro-Life, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, this was really pretty terrible, this election. I've never seen more negative, untruthful, lying campaigning ads from the little campaign that I've ever seen in any race in any state. And Brad Little, 37%. That is not some kind of a mandate. And if Alquist or Labrador hadn't have been in the race, either one of them, they would have become the governor.
Well, it broke the right way for Brad Little then.
Right.
You can't really. Can you really fault people for running? You take a look at our friend Senator Fulcher. He was in. He wanted to serve in Congress, so he went there. I mean, that's why you have primaries, right? Or should you just have? I mean, this happens all across the country where you have, a couple candidates that draw from the same base and one who doesn't, and you see this with the presidential elections, with the exception of Trump. So, here's another one. You could say that you could blame one candidate or another, but from the majority of the campaign season, you had whoever you talk to, Congressman Labrador in the lead.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but in this general election, Brad Little is going to beat Paulette Jordan by so far that it's not even going to be funny. Now,
what's wrong with that?
Nothing. But here's the problem. See, I was predicting there's usually 20-some thousand primary voters in the Democrat Party.
The libs.
So I said that there was going to be 40,000, but there was 60,000 voting in the Democrat primary because they had a contest. Now, if those people had not voted in the Democrat primary, they would have filed Republican. They would be over here, and Brad Little would have had a larger lead, or maybe Tommy Alquist. But those liberal people that shift around between the Democrat and Republican Party, they make a big difference, but they don't make a big difference in the final ballot. But I think that I'd like to see a write-in for Labrador in the general election. I think he could even win.
But you have a primary, and you accept the rules. That's why we're having our breakfast tomorrow with the state Republican Party.
Yeah, I understand.
You got to come together. Otherwise, you're going to have Paulette Jordan and her liberal crew running the state. Do you want that?
No, Paulette Jordan is not going to win. There's no way she could win, even in a three-way race where there was, say, Little Labrador and Paulette Jordan.
Okay.
She still couldn't win.
Pro-Life, thank you for the call.
All right, see you.
All right, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. And there we have it, Ray Amaya. Thank you for that one, taking your calls on what happened and what's next. Let's go to Mark in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Kevin. I'd just like to say I'm thrilled with the outcome. It was a coin flip for me between Brad Little and Tommy Ahlquist. I'm really glad Raul Labrador didn't win. I think he was more focused on Raul Labrador, and he was too much of an ideologue. He didn't really campaign much. I think he was just relying on the R in front of his name. And it was tough to even on the phone or on the radio, it was tough to debate him because he would not engage in a thoughtful debate. He didn't seem like he would listen. He was just digging his heels in with his right-wing ideology, and it was a big turnoff. So I'm thrilled that he's out of office effectively.
Well, I'm sure you're going to endear yourself to all the Labrador supporters. How do you bring the Republican Party together again?
Well, that's not hard in Idaho. Brad Little's going to win. People vote based on the letter in front of their name in Idaho, not for the candidate. So it's not. Brad's got nothing to worry about. And for the full disclosure, I'm a former Californian. I moved here 15 years ago. So I've been here long enough, and I'm a registered Republican. But the more time I spend here in Idaho, the more moderate I become, and occasionally I'll vote for a Democrat because I think one-party rule is ultimately not a good thing, whether it's a Republican Party or a Democratic Party. And we've got one-party rule here in Idaho, and it's had negative effects.
Well, right. You have and we've seen that with a lot of controversies and a lot of issues that have happened. We go down to this. What do you say to people, and this is the narrative that has started, that have blamed one candidate for being in, denying another candidate the victory? I mean, everybody should be able to jump into this race, right?
Yeah, I don't often agree with you, Kevin, but I wholeheartedly agree with you. That's the essence of democracy, and that is the essence of a primary. You're whittling it down to one candidate representing Republicans, and I mean, AJ supporters, they ought to be upset with Paulette Jordan for that matter, but because he was the establishment candidate. So you play the hand that you're dealt, and now we've got two candidates, and now you go on to a general election. That's how things are.
Well, Mark in Boise, thank you for the call, and thank you for listening, sir.
Thank you.
KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. And coming up, we've got a few open lines, more of your thoughts on what's next for the Republican Party. And don't forget to join us Thursday morning from Terry's Cafe for the Unity Breakfast, followed by the Unity Rally. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And coming up, our political correspondent, analyst Dustin Cook. First, Tom in Nampa on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Oh, I'm finally on.
Thank you for your patience, Tom.
Waiting this morning reminded me of getting stuck in rush hour traffic in some parts of California. I almost thought I was back there. Say, people are talking about this liberal wave coming to Idaho. We need to just put away the surfboards because it just isn't happening. The news is saying this morning that there were twice as many Democrats voted in 2018 in the primary than 2016. We need to put it into perspective because actually Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton totally rolled off Idaho, didn't even campaign or give it the time of day, so that's why the turnout was so poor. And still, with 60,000 votes that the Democrats were cast in Democratic primary, Brad Little still got 17,000 more votes with only 38%, the Republican primary. So I don't think there's any liberal wave coming to Idaho. And where does that guy get the idea that 50 to 60% of the people coming in are liberals? Do you have any idea?
I think the libs are coming here, Tom, and the book's still out on you.
Oh, it is? Oh, well, I know. Well, some people think if you're not to the right, as far right as the John Birch Society, that somehow you're liberal. But, this state hasn't elected the Democrat governor since Cecil Andrus. That's, 30 years ago, and it hasn't had a U.S. senator since Frank Church, and that's going back almost 40 years ago. So I don't see that happening. In fact, I talked to a native Idahoan here the other day who's a Democrat. He says, I think all you Californians coming in here are tilting further to the right because we're trying to get out of that. We got out of that,
Yeah, well, tell that to A.J. Belukoff.
Well, anyway, I voted for Labrador because I didn't like Little's campaigning. He said he had a biblical perspective and he acted like a heathen in the way he chopped up his opponents. But I'll vote for him in the general election because, Paulette Jones has got a snowball's chance in hell of getting elected to the state. And one of the main reasons I moved up here is it is more conservative, and I got tired of California. It's a wasteland down there. So anyway, that's my 2 bits for today, and we'll just carry on here.
Tom, you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right, we continue on. Mike in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Mike. So, are the Republicans going to unite?
Man, I hope so, but it's worrying because, so many Republicans, they had one candidate that they wanted, and if he didn't win yesterday, they're saying they're not going to vote, and that's scary because if the Democrats get enough votes with Paulette because she's their perfect, their candidate, she's a woman, she's a Native American, she's got all these things, it doesn't matter really what she stands for, she's just got these things that they want. I'm a gay man in Idaho, but I'm a conservative, and it scares the hell out of me that they want a progressive as our governor. I mean, they seem so uninformed, and I'm scared. I'm scared that they're going to take away my guns, and then I can't defend myself when they bring in Sharia law, and people are allowed to throw me off a building if they don't like my sexuality. It scares me, and it's the progressives that are pushing this, so I don't know why any other gay man would ever vote for a progressive. It just baffles me.
That's a good point.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm a little bit worried because she does fit a lot of the,
I don't think she's that smooth. I think she comes across as condescending. She believes her own hype. And here's the other one. She's weak on guns. During that debate, Channel 7 asked her, I think it was Joe Parrish, said, hey, you were at a rally where you said you wanted the AR-15 was evil and bad. Do you want to get rid of it? Yes. Oh, wait, but I don't agree with the government taking your weapons. Somebody will hopefully, well, maybe not with the libs in the media, but somebody will go, hey, are you pro or anti-gun? Are you going to take away my AR-15, Miss Jordan? And we'll see how she answers that.
Well, and they just don't understand the argument because they every single time will say you don't need an AR-15 for hunting. And they don't understand that I don't want an AR-15 for hunting. I want it for the next American Revolution. And I'm scared that that's where we're heading. So I want more than one AR-15 now. It's not for hunting. It's for defending ourselves if we get into some crazy stuff. And that's where we're heading, especially if we keep voting for progressives.
Mike, great call. Kevin Miller in the morning. We continue on. Tess, thanks for the cookies last night. She joins us at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tess.
Hey, good morning. You're welcome. That was quite fun, wasn't it?
So late night.
Hey, so here's something for Mike, your gay person that just called in. Don't worry. You know what? There's so many of us constitutional conservatives that are out there. If you get pitched off a building, we'll make sure that there's nets and cushions to catch you. How's about that? So I'm very disappointed to see that Ron Nate was defeated. And
Ron Nate got it, huh?
Yeah. It looks like maybe 159 votes, pretty small fraction. So your vote really does count. So get out there and quit whining. So the thing is that what you need to know is that he ran against someone that is a first-time runner, completely unknown. But boy, if you take a look at the amount of the PAC money that came into his opponent's funds, they were thousands and thousands of dollars. And people, I think they already realize, you don't, as a first-time unknown, you do not get money like that unless you have the higher-ups that are promoting that. And unfortunately, who you really need to protect are those constitutional candidates who are coming in. Boy, and on the other hand, Chad Christensen beat Tom Lorcher out of District 32. Met him down there at the rally at the State House. So that's quite a win over someone who's been in, I tried to count the years, looks like maybe over 25, 27 years. So
sure.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
Well, Tess, I got to run, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great friend Tess. Coming up, we'll talk to our friends from the UFC, at least a few of them. I think there's a lot, but we've got Dustin here to keep everybody in line. A couple more phone calls, and then we'll roll along here at KIDO. We've got like 75 people here, Lucas. Is that it? I don't know if we can tell them no. All right, Matt and Emmett, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Kevin. I have never called a radio show, so I just wanted to tell you you're my first. And I am a former Californian, and I'll tell you the biggest concern that I have after living there is that California, it's complacency. These ads you see, the things for school bonds, people become very complacent there and go with the flow. And when they see like these ads you see for the school bonds, the bond measure passes, the school, your taxes won't go up. Well, the problem with that is they're just extending the previous bond. And so, you know, it's just a tough deal with all these, you know, the moderate guy that called in from California. It's funny because I just don't believe that. You know, I mean, I can't do that. You know, I'm very conservative, and that is why I literally fled that state. I don't have a liberal bone in my body, and you know, and I tried to vote last night. I actually changed the party affiliation last time because I believe the party itself in the Republican Party has gone to similar direction that the Democrats did a long time ago. They're walking a fine line there for the majority. I would have voted almost all Republican. The ones I would have voted for was Michael Snyder, Bob Domini, and Steve Pankey. I really felt that they fit my criteria.
Well, don't be a stranger, Matt, and please call again, would you?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Dustin, your thoughts on last night?
Well, like you, Kevin, I'm still trying to wake up. Brought your coffee in this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, my son.
What a great night, huh? We went on the air till almost 1 a.m, I think. And what we learned is, and you've talked about it the whole entire time on your show this morning, we have to unify behind the party now and get behind our candidates and support no matter what side of the fence you're on before last night's primary. It's all the way to November now, and we just have to support our candidates.
All right. Coming up next, our friends from the UFC. Max, quickly, what do you got?
I just wanted to say that if anybody thinks they're going to win the gubernatorial election based on being the first woman or the first Native American, it didn't work for Hillary, and it won't work for her. That's all.
All right, Max, thank you. KIDO
Bye.
Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio coming up. We'll find out about the UFC here in the Treasure Valley first. And here we are, joined now by James Vick and Junior DeSantos joining us from the UFC to talk about this big event in the Treasure Valley, the fastest growing, the most popular sport, not only in this country, but throughout the world. They will be here in the Treasure Valley at CenturyLink Arena. We're going to talk a little bit about that here at KIDO Talk Radio. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you. Junior, how about you?
I'm glad to be here, too. You know?
Yeah?
YC and KIDO Radio.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Junior. Let's talk a little bit about, the appeal of the UFC. Not everyone is like fanboy Kevin Miller here that remembered UFC 1 and the growth of the sport. It is so incredible now. Why do you both get in a cage when we're talking martial arts, when we're talking boxing, when we're talking about the total fighter? What is the appeal?
Well, the appeal is actually, for me, it's a motivation. It's everything what I believe, what I do well in my life. What I love. So to be in there in the octagon, putting myself in test against so many tough guys, it's an amazing feeling. So I've been doing this, and I pretend to. Actually, I want to stay on this until where I can,
Indeed, of course, easier said than done. What about you, Mr. Vic?
Yeah, it's about the one-on-one competition. It's about pursuing my dream, about just having a goal and going for it. My goal to be a world champion. Junior was already a world champion before, and that's, if you get in this sport, especially in our organization, the UFC, your goal, most people's should be, but probably is, to become a world champion, and just to pursue your dreams and to work hard and to see the hard work paying off, and just being a man. Men are competitive, and just the one-on-one competition and the feeling of being a winner, just all that combined is just, I just love it.
Indeed, when you take a look at July 14th at CenturyLink Arena, coming to Boise, some big fights. Junior, your thoughts on your fight?
Well, I think my fight's going to be a very interesting one, a very tough one. I'm fighting Blagoy Ivanovic. It's a Bulgarian guy, and his background is Sambo. It's a Russian martial arts. Yep. So, I'm expecting a very tough fight, but I can tell you I'm ready for that.
James, what about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fighting Paul Felder. He's a kickboxer, more of a striker, just like I am. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good one of the most exciting fights of the night, I hope. And I think it's going to be a good stand-up war. I don't see either one of us trying to take each other down, so it's going to be a good kickboxing fight. And I think I'm going to get the knockout.
Sure. Well, it is a privilege to have both of you in studio. Of course, coming up on a new Idaho Insights, we'll have more with these gentlemen. But it's huge that the UFC. That goes anywhere around the world and around the country is coming to the Treasure Valley, and we look forward to having both of you here. And, of course, we'll be giving tickets away, and we'll be talking to these folks. See, gentlemen, I wish the Octagon were this quick, but we will be talking to both of you very soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Coming up next, Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, Lars Larson, and, of course, more talk about the primary. Remember, tomorrow, Terry's Cafe in Meridian, the Unity Rally, followed by the Unity Rally at the Capitol. Good day. God bless. Ray Amaya, outstanding job. Keep the faith, everybody.